Hello, welcome to Table Topics. I'm Lynn Long, Mayor of the City of Fort Oglethorpe. And we're blessed today to have Sandra, Tax Commissioner, Catoosa County with us. She's going to share with us about your taxes. Sandy, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be in Fort Oglethorpe again. I make it to this side of the county pretty often.
You're a special tax commissioner. How long have you been tax commissioner, Sandy?
This is beginning my 22nd year. I took office when I was about 6, so you can do the math.
You know, you were tax commissioner when I was chairman of the County Board of Commissioners.
Yes.
And that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. We were elected in 1992 and took office January 1, 1993. I remember it well.
And I mean, it's just, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
I'm still waiting to check that out, but I think that's what they tell me.
Well, I can truthfully say this from the bottom of my heart. You have done a fantastic job as tax commissioner. And the citizens of this county and this city are very fortunate to have somebody with your skill and expertise.
Well, thank you very much. That embarrasses me a little bit. But I do always want to take the opportunity to say people have been very gracious to me. They have stood with me and understood. Sometimes you can't do what people want, and so they've been understanding and been gracious to me. And I appreciate the fact they've supported me all these years. It's hard to take people's money and deal with the things that we have to deal with in the office sometimes. So I appreciate the people too. Thank you very much for the compliment, Lynn.
And I think a lot of people probably do not realize the tax commissioner does not set the tax rate. All you do is let them get the tax bill and bring it in to you. I mean, you don't have anything to do with the rate.
No, we don't set the rates. I think that's my song and dance about everything we do. I don't set your rates. I just get to send you that tax bill and you get to come in and write me your check. I was told by a gentleman one day, he said, "I bet your name is listed in everybody's checkbook more than anybody else's." I said, "Well, I usually see people at least twice a year for their house taxes and for their car renewals."
Yeah, they do. So, tell us a little about property tax and the exemptions in the county and in the city, Sandy.
Okay. Now, I'm sure all your citizens know, but might not be thinking about it right now, but I collect for the state, the county, the school, and the city of Fort Oglethorpe and the city of Ringgold. So they only get one tax bill. You remember several years ago, the people in the cities were getting 2 tax bills. So now I collect for everybody, and they get one tax bill. And we send out about 29,000 tax bills for property each year. And once those bills are collected, the monies are dispersed back to the taxing authorities. The cities, the county, and the school, the state all set their own rates, and they have their own exemptions if there are any that apply. You in the city of Fort Oglethorpe do have some city exemptions that are special above the state and the county exemptions. I'll cover those since we're here in the city, so I'll talk about the city exemptions a little bit more today. You have a regular homestead exemption. That's anybody that owns their home and lives there. Now those are 2 qualifications. You have to be the recorded owner. You have to live there. And if you make application, you get a tax exemption of $10,000. And that saves folks some money. Every year, they don't have to re-sign as long as they live in that same house and don't change the name on their deed. Then at age 60, they get a bigger exemption.
At age 60?
At age 60, you're almost there.
I'm 70.
At age 60, they need to come in and sign up, and not dependent on income in the city, so that's different from the county. They can sign up and they get a $40,000 exemption. Again, it saves them some money. I think your city millage rate is a little over 6, so that's about $180. That's a pretty good break. Then at age 70, they're tax exempt on the city portion of their taxes. Now, when I talk about your city exemptions, of course, it only applies to the city taxes. But at age 70, they no longer pay you any taxes. I think that's why some of your developments have filled up so quickly and have been so popular, is because seniors need that. That's important for them, and gives them a little bit of a break when their income reduces.
So, and I'll be age 70, and I've already applied for this, by the way. That means that I don't have a city tax at age 70.
Are they gonna let you hang around here if you don't pay any taxes?
I don't know.
Might wanna think about that, Lynn.
But it's,
No, at age 70, there's no more city tax. Now, in the county, you have to wait till 75 not to pay that school tax, which is the biggest portion of the county tax bill.
are there some income limits too on county as far as homestead, as far as school tax and those things?
Right, there are income limits. At age 62, there is a low income or limited income exemption, and that would totally exempt people from the county portion of their tax. And then at age 62 also, there's a state exemption that would reduce their school tax. At age 65, there is a state exemption that will take off all the state tax with no income limit. And then at age 75, no income limit, take off all the school tax. Lynn, there is a possibility of 38 exemptions that could apply to people who own property in Catoosa County, and determining whether or not they're in the city or just in the county, qualifying for local exemptions or state exemptions. Keeps us on our toes.
Let me ask you a tough question. I'm just a good old country boy that's dumb on a rock. And I go down to the tax office. And I say, what kind of exemptions do I get since I'm 70 years old and don't have a clue? Will they share those things with me?
They certainly would. They would say, well,
They
Mr.
did
Long,
me.
Mr. Long, are you still working or are you retired? You would answer that. The next question would, if you're retired, they would say, what kind of income do you have? If you're drawing Social Security, we need that money amount. If you're drawing retirement, we need that money amount. If you're working part-time, we need that money amount. And if you're working some, we would have to have a copy of your income tax.
Right.
Then we'd say, are you married or do you live alone? And once we have the income base, if you're married, which you are, we would ask if Linda is still working and put that together, and then we will know by the income amounts and the sources which exemptions you qualify for. Even though we have to ask for Social Security amounts and retirement amounts, for the state exemptions, they don't count. They have to be listed kind of like a base income amount, because we know people have income that comes in, else they can't live. They have to have some source of income.
And I did not realize that there was 38 separate exemptions.
No, a possibility of combinations of
Of all of
38,
them.
yes.
How in the world do you keep all up with all
Aren't
of them?
computers wonderful?
They are fantastic. They are fantastic.
And anytime there's a change to one, we just update that and we're able to tell from there.
What did we do when we had to do everything manually with a piece of paper?
Well, we worked really hard, and I guess sometimes we made mistakes. Computers help us not to make mistakes, and they are wonderful when they work, and when they don't work at all.
What happens when you have a shutdown of the computer system? We've had some of those here.
Well, we usually say, I'm sorry, the computer's down and we can't do anything. If it's for motor vehicle, we literally can't do anything. If it's for property tax bill and you bring your tax bill in with you, then you can leave that bill and the check and we'll process it later. But we really can't do anything without those machines anymore. We are very advanced, but we're also bound by that.
You have several tax offices around the county, do you not?
Well, we've got two. We've got the main office there in Ringo in the administration building, and then we have an office here at Fort Oglethorpe in Constitution Hall.
That's fantastic.
I think your folks over here really like that. It keeps them from having to go to Ringgold unless they want to. Now, we're always glad to see them in Ringgold, but sometimes you just want to run by and pay a bill and go on about your business without making a trip across the county.
One of the greatest things that I think happened as far as renewing car tax is that when you started doing it on your birthday instead of March 31st.
Right?
The lines went down, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
So, and again, I'm going to touch on this. You, Sandy Self, do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
The knowledge that you've gained over the years, the expertise that you've gained, the ability to communicate with the citizens of this county and this city are fantastic. And I want to personally, as mayor, thank you for that. There's a lot of changes that came down the pike in the last couple of years. One being a title fee instead of a tax on vehicles. Can you share that with us?
Sure. Now, that got a lot of attention last year when that passed. Believe it or not, we are approaching the 1 year, March the 1st, anniversary of title ad valorem tax. And it has just changed the whole processing of motor vehicles. Sales tax on motor vehicle sales is gone. It is no more. It was replaced by TAVT, title ad valorem tax. It's a one-time fee that's calculated very similarly to sales tax. If you go to a dealer, buy a car, you are going to pay this directly to the dealer. If you go and make a trade-in with the dealer, you're going to pay on the value of the car after the trade-in. Once you pay this title ad valorem tax, and right now the rate is 6 3/4%. Beginning 2015, it'll go up to 7%. But right now, once you pay this title ad valorem tax, all you'll pay is a $20 annual renewal fee. No more ad valorem tax annually on your birthday. Now, I heard you, I won't say complaining, mentioning the fact that you paid a pretty hefty check the other day when you renewed some tax.
I did.
But if you had a new car that the title ad valorem tax had been paid on, you'd only write a check for $20. For most people, I think they like that much better. It's just easier on the palate, I guess, than having to think about having that annual ad valorem tax, annual birthday tax.
And it has changed, and it will be better. And at some point in time, when I trade my truck off and get another truck, my wife says I never will, then I will be paying $20 a year.
$20 a year.
And that's fantastic. What happens if, for example, I take my truck, I get tired of it, and I give it to my son, and I just say, Lynn, here's this truck. I'm going to give it to you. Does he have to pay a title fee?
He does not. When he comes in, we can have him sign a immediate family transfer. A lot of parents sign when their children get their first cars. A lot of times parents give their children cars and children give their parents cars. So in those cases, there is no title ad valorem tax due unless they want to pay it and then not ever pay the ad valorem annually like they have been doing.
Right.
We've had parents to do that with a child who is in college or just graduated from college, and they give them the car that the person has been driving for the 4 years that they were in school, and they say, I'm going to give it to them, I'm going to transfer the title, but I'm going to go ahead and pay the title ad valorem tax so that all they'll pay is $20. We've had that happen, and it works out well. So it's a choice, but they don't have to. There is an exemption clause for that. There's also an exemption for some of our disabled veterans. They don't have to pay it either. So there are some exemptions out there that help in certain circumstances.
So if I make a gift of a vehicle or a boat, anything that has to have a title, to one of my family members, then in the future they would pay ad valorem tax on an annual basis.
That's right. They would continue in the same system that you're in unless they choose to pay the title ad valorem tax.
Well, now let me ask you another case scenario. I had bought a vehicle. I had paid the ad valorem tax when I bought it, the 6.5%.
Okay.
And then at a future date, I gave it to my son, my daughter, or Linda's beagle hound, which she loves like a child. Would they be exempt from the ad valorem tax on an annual basis? Would it be like what I pay? If I pay 20, they'll pay 20. Is that correct?
I think Lynn, I think there's a 1.5% that they would pay to remain in that. But once title ad valorem tax is paid on it in your name, you never pay ad valorem again. But when it transfers, then there are some fees that are associated with it if they're not going to remain in the ad valorem system. And I believe it's 1.5%.
That's great.
It's still a bargain. It's still better than having to pay sales tax every time you transfer.
The greatest thing, I think, one of the big things, and you mentioned it, is a birthday tax. As we get older and as we retire, and I've got older, in our city, in the city of Fort Oglethorpe, we're rapidly becoming a city of senior citizens. And I really truly understand what a fixed income is. Now, it is fixed. What you see is what you get. And so on an annual basis, you pay $20 instead of going down and paying ad valorem tax every year when you buy your tags. You now know what you're going to be paying. And as we get older, our income tends to go down. And so that works out great. Brian tells us we're about out of time. Sandy Self, I'm going to shut up and let you, and I'm going to say this one time. He's told me not to say this. Doggone it. But I'm going to say it anyway. Thank you very much for being here and sharing this. I've gained a lot of knowledge.
I hope so. I hope it helps your citizens. And I didn't remember to say that the deadline for signing up for exemptions for 2014, that's where we are right now, is April the 1st. So we got to get that in. Anybody who's kind of put it off, they need to come in before April 1st and sign up if they're going to get the exemption for 2014.
Well, we all like exemptions.
That's right. That's
so
right.
Be there for April 1, before April Fool's Day.
Yes.
Because you really will be fooled if you hadn't signed up.
That's right.
Sandy, thank you very much for being here.
I appreciate it so much.
You have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you for your expertise too. Thank you very much for watching Table Topics. We try to help keep you informed, and Sandy being here today with her expertise and knowledge is going to help everybody in our city and our community to understand better the tax system in the county of Catoosa and the city of Fort Oglethorpe. I've gained a great deal of knowledge today. And Sandy Self, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you for watching.